Welcome to the Who's Left podcast, a show about Indiana politics, history, and culture from the unapologetic perspective of the social democratic left. My name is Scott Aaron Rogers, and I'm recording from Bloomington. So, as our MAGA Republican-led state and federal governments continue to gut services to their constituents and cater exclusively to their morbidly wealthy donors, it is increasingly apparent that people are waking up and they are pissed. Abandoned by their leaders, folks are beginning to realize that nobody is coming to save us, and we're going to have to do it ourselves. Some have organized protests and town halls. Others have stepped into the void left by government to provide needed services, while still others have taken to telling their story publicly. Some have closed the door and decided to look out for themselves. Some have fled entirely. And a great many feel that same sense of abandonment and disrespect from their leaders, feel a burning desire to do something for their families and their communities, but don't know where to turn. What if there was somewhere you could turn to help connect you to others and give you the tools to harness that energy in pursuit of a greater goal? Well, at least for the people of East Central Indiana, such a place now exists. Civic Impact Network envisions a future where all residents in that region and beyond are engaged, empowered, and equipped to shape their communities through leadership, collaboration, and informed civic participation. Their executive director is my guest today. Chelsa McDonnel has appeared twice before on our program in her former role as co-founder and outreach director for Mad Voters, a statewide voter education and advocacy organization we've featured several times and who continue to do invaluable work. But today, we'll talk about her new gig and what Civic Impact Network is all about. We'll talk about the importance of sharing information and cultivating new leaders and the pitfalls of gatekeeping. She'll tell us all about the details that go into organizing, the training they offer, and how there's room for everyone's unique talents in the resistance. Finally, we'll look at some of the projects they've been helping with in the Muncie area. Real quick, before we jump to the interview, please consider supporting Who's Left with a paid subscription. This is an independent media project. I don't paywall content, and I don't rely on advertising. I depend entirely on individuals like you. So please, if you find value in what I do, go to whosleft.us and subscribe at the paid level. It's only $5 a month or $50 a year to help me write more, research more, and organize more. I would like to dedicate my full time to you, this project, and Indiana's future, but I need your financial support to do so. Now, I get it. I know things are uncertain right now, so there are other ways to help grow this community by liking and sharing on social media, commenting, leaving reviews, providing feedback, and forwarding articles to your people. We are building a community of Hoosiers here dedicated to making the state and its government work for all of us, not just the elite few. Follow us on Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Who's Left. That's HOOS Left. And I'm personally at ScottRodge78 on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and Mastodon. Tell the others. Let's build a radically democratic Indiana together. Thanks again. Now, here's my conversation with Chelsa McDonnel. Chelsa McDonnel, welcome back to the Who's Left podcast.
It's always great to be here and to talk with you.
We've missed you, and now you are a two-time previous guest, I believe, and at that point you were with the organization Mad Voters, who continues to do great work, and I rely on them a lot. But you are wearing a different hat now. Where are you at these days?
Well, I'm doing most of my work here in East Central Indiana. I am currently located in Muncie, and this is my home sweet home. I absolutely love it here. So I've been doing work here for Civic Impact Network, and it's really lovely to be home after traveling Indiana for so long with Mad Voters. I absolutely
Yeah.
loved what I did, but nice to be back at home where I know my community and my community knows me.
So, you said Civic Impact Network is the new organization you are working with. Tell us what Civic Impact Network does.
Absolutely. Well, we do a few things. The main thing that we focus on is really getting people involved. Um, you'll talk to a lot of people who want to get involved. They are good people, they want to do good things, but they don't know where to start. They don't know where to look. And even once they have found something, it can be pretty intimidating. These are new people, a new experience. A lot of people don't like going into things without a lot of knowledge about what they're doing.
Mhm.
And so that'll keep people from actually trying. And what we do is we look for these volunteer opportunities and just these opportunities to get involved in the community. And we present them to the different communities in East Central Indiana. We push it out to people, let them know about the opportunity. But our team is also showing up for these volunteer opportunities as well. We want to be able to basically hold people's hands through their first time, even their second and third times. We want to be there for them, make sure that we're offering support and assistance. And that way they can feel a lot more empowered to do it on their own when we're not there.
Yeah. So, it sounds like, or well, I feel like right now, especially with everything going on, federal government and the state government's not too far behind in their extremism. A lot of people, either personally or someone they're close to, are personally affected by a lot of the cuts going on. And so maybe this individual wants to organize a protest or just m- make people aware of the situation that affects them and their loved ones, and they don't know where to begin. I think a lot of times, especially, um, maybe we've been waiting on leaders, Democratic Party, somebody in that network to maybe help us to do the fight for us to lead, and we're realizing, oh crap, we got to do it ourselves. I don't know where to begin, right? And that's sort of where you come in.
Yes, that is exactly what this is. There is a lot behind the system as to why we're doing this. And it is that getting involved, that civic duty, that civic responsibility that we're really going for. And while we're doing all of this, we're also putting a focus on how your ability to volunteer and lead within your community is impacted by these policy choices.
Hmm.
The federal funding, for example, cuts to our soup kitchen here. And so now it's like we have to rely on more volunteers and more community participation. And so getting people involved, that's the first step. Once they're involved, they can see things a lot more clearly, how things work in their community, how it is inequitable for some people, more than others, and it opens their eyes. And from there, we really try to lead people into more participation.
Okay, so someone wants to protest. They want to hold a town hall. They want to. Where do they begin? What's the first step?
Well, first, they need to contact me. They need to contact us at Civic Impact Network, and we're going to help you. This is actually something that we've been helping a lot of the 50 501
Mm,
organizers.
mhm.
We did a lot of help for them. We're going to tell you what you have to do. So let's say you want to do a protest. We're going to break things down for you and let you know exactly what you need to organize a successful protest. We're going to offer you information about contacts. We're going to offer you information about resources. We're going to offer you information about speakers, anything that we can give you information on to help your event and be successful and make an impact. that's what we're going to do. And this is something that I have been building on for years now so that I can offer these types of things. You know, we want people to be able to come to us and know that we're going to give them a full picture. We're not going to go
Mhm.
halvesies on anything. We're going to give you the full picture so you know what to expect and you know who you need to reach out to. And if you want to do a protest, hey, you need to start with letting other people know, right? That's the
Mhm.
first step, is getting those contacts. And I mean, really, it's one of the most important things in Indiana right now is having that network of contacts,
Yeah.
because we know, just like you said, there is no party coming to save us. It is all us. And a really big problem in Indiana has been a lot of people hold information very, very close to their chest. You know,
Mhm.
there is a game that has been played here for a very long time, and I'm trying to break that. I don't think that this information, these contacts, these resources, I don't think that these are things that should be held close to our chest. Not anymore. Not in 2025 when we need everybody taking action. How can we expect people to take action when we don't offer them the things that they need to succeed in those actions?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's one of the things I hear a lot as I've been talking to people in the Democratic Party, around the Democratic Party, kind of tangential to the party. Is there's a lot of gatekeeping and insider information, and you gotta kiss the ring if you want whatever it is that they've got, and like the game has changed. We cannot be doing that sort of thing anymore in 2025, right?
Yeah, 100%. And the attitude that I had at Mad Voters and that Mad Voters still has, which is information is for everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody has the right to the information, so we should be sharing it freely. It's the same attitude with Civic Impact Network. The information that we have that you need is yours, free of charge. There, there's nothing that you have to do other than take action.
Yeah, and yeah, well, so much is like we've got this energy, and people know that they're being put upon by their leaders in office at the state level or federal level or what have you, but yet we don't really have a good idea of how civics work. We kind of quit teaching it in schools.
I Yeah, I mean, there have been times where I've been talking to people and they don't know the 3 branches of government.
Hmm.
Now, I do think that this is changing with these younger generations, and I can't tell you exactly how or why, because I know that the schools aren't upping their game, unfortunately, they don't have the funds to do that, but I do think that we have teachers on board that are in our schools and are having honest conversations with our kids, and they're picking up the things that they need to be picking up, and I don't think, for me, example, growing up in school, teachers and adults never had honest conversations with me about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that that might be what has changed. And so, you know, people are getting this civics lesson, but in justice. You know, it's not like your average civics lesson in school. What they should be teaching, it's different now, and I think that that's better, but the generations that came before, we are seriously lacking in our civic education and our civic duties.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like with our generation, I think. I mean, we're probably about the same age. Um, when we grew up, like civic engagement, protest, man, that's not cool. That's what those old hippies did, right? Like, and now so much of that, well, so much of the neoliberal era, I think, was like, well, you know what, we're gonna let the experts handle this, and well, hey, the experts handled us right into the last 10 years of Trumpism, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I had this great point, and of course, it disappeared. But
Well, no, the point is, like, we're rediscovering that those old hippies actually, like, had a point and they were doing the right thing, and we need to protest and we need people out in the streets, because, at some point, if our representatives aren't meeting the moment, in a democracy, you've only got so many other options available to you, and people power is where you're going to get stuff done.
yeah, yeah, and I really think, growing up, when you think about the '60s, at least for me, it was, "Oh, yeah, that's just something that they did then." There was never this feeling of, "Oh, yeah, that's what we the people do when we want something done." That's not how it was talked about, and that's now how I talk about it with my kids, you know, and so I do think that is a change that we're seeing, and that's good. That's gonna really, really help us in this, that sense of justice that is missing. We're trying to get that back.
Yeah, yeah, it did really just kinda it disappeared there for a while. Well, what was it? It's, Francis Fukuyama, right? The end of history. We thought, "Well, hey, America is like the only superpower left. We won the Cold War. Everything is hunky dory. We don't need to protest anything anymore, right?" Not so fast.
Yeah, it's shocking, and it's saddening to see, like, we have so much access to all the bad stuff going on. And so for me personally, I'm like, gosh, I want to protest all of this. Like, I want
Yeah,
to be blocking doors because of all of these things. Like, they're all completely egregious, but we've been hammered over the head just left and right with badness that
yeah.
it people are like, well, I just don't know what to do. And then you know, I love hearing about what other countries are doing. I mean, it's amazing. But when we it's not comparable. The United States is huge. We're
Yeah,
huge.
yeah.
We don't have
So
just
spread out.
one highway we can block with our big trucks and protest. You know, as much as I'd love to see us pull a France or something, it's not going to happen as it stands. It is going to look completely different in the United States than it has anywhere else, in my opinion. And so I think people also they don't know what to expect, what to look forward to. There isn't a sense of what our future is other than the dark, gloomy, scary one that they're kind of creating for us.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I guess when people come to you and they see all of this bad stuff going on and they want to make a difference, like I said, first steps contacting you, and you're going to give them information. But from there, what are all the steps that you're sort of going to walk through with people? Like, what's your overall process?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to get people involved. That is the main goal. We want you involved. We have an understanding at Civic Impact that all good deeds in this country have gotten done with grassroots efforts. It is the people that make the difference. And the people aren't going to make a difference if they're sitting at home on their couches, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for something to come along. We
Yeah.
are going to take the opportunities to them, meet them where they are, and get them into something that they enjoy, right? That is that first step is making that connection. Hey, you can get involved too, and it feels good. From there, we offer support to the people, and we make sure that they feel appreciated, that their work is acknowledged, that they have somewhere to go with questions or if they want to expand on it. And we offer a lot of leadership development because ultimately, what we want is for people to get involved with an understanding that policy affects your ability to make positive changes in your community.
Hmm.
From there, we want to guide people into positions of power. And when I say positions of power, I mean people growing to have a voice. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to be an elected official or a CEO to have power. Your voice has power. And so, we want to encourage people to show up for city halls and town halls and county council meetings and commissioners meetings. We want to encourage people, if they want to see something happen in their community, they have to be the ones that do it. They can't just send an email to an elected official and
Yeah.
expect it to get done. They have to show up, they have to have a plan, and they have to use their voice. And so that's ultimately what we're trying to build here. We are trying to build a grassroots initiative connecting our communities together and uplifting from the ground up, which is why we spend so much time in our rural communities. It is just the damn dirty truth that if we don't start at the
Hmm.
bottom and lift everybody, we're not going anywhere. And so getting down there in the mud with people who have never been involved in their community before, people who have been loners, they have gone it alone. They're fine with eating shit as long as you're eating shit and your mama's eating shit. you know
Yeah.
those are the people that we want to connect to their community in a way that feels good to them. Once they start taking pride in that community process, then they're going to start realizing, okay, wait a second. One, I don't have to eat shit because I work in my community to get better for myself and my neighbors. And it's like once that connection is made for people and people realize that, oh, wait, I do have the power to push for these things, that's when all of the magic happens. It's that connection
Yeah.
that they make. You can't take that away because once you know, you know.
And there's a way to go about these things, right? There's almost a science to influencing policy. Yeah, you don't just show up with a sign or make a call or send a letter or put out a post on Facebook, say, "Hey, we're doing a thing." Like there's a whole process, and you and your people have been through it before,
Yes,
and are gonna give people that knowledge of how to
yes,
advocate for
absolutely.
themselves, right?
Yes. Yeah, we wanna see our community succeed. We don't wanna hold anything back from people. We wanna see them succeed over and over and over again, so that's something that they can chase. I mean, we are humans, right? Human nature. We all have something that we chase. Why not chase feeling good about doing good? I mean, isn't that just, the most perfect thing that you can think of?
It really is, yeah, and it's exhilarating when you start to get a tiny win here or there. Or you change one heart or one mind, and it can become infectious.
100%. And that's really what we're hoping, and doing it the way that we're doing it by building this network of people from, just all different kinds of backgrounds with different things to offer. We're also teaching people what it looks like to organize in a grassroots way. Everybody has their part to play. There is a plan in place, and we are all water. We adapt to the situations that we face. And so we're really trying to teach people holistically how to adapt to these changes to make the biggest impact and to work together the best. Because we all have more in common than not, right? We can
Right.
find common ground and work towards these common goals in our communities that are going to do this. I know that people, they really want to just come in right here and just get stuff done, right? That's
Yeah.
not how it
Tell me
works.
what I got to do. Give me the list, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's just not how it works. We have to be willing to start in completely different ways and lift from the bottom up and encourage that participation and that compassion and humanity in people who get to see how their work really does affect people and change people. I'm all the time, come and work with us in the soup kitchen. That'll humble your ass. I had to
Yeah.
use soup kitchens growing up as a kid. Like, these are things that I utilize. So I understand, how people feel sometimes coming in and needing our services. You know, come in, serve some food to people, have some conversations, learn about why all these different people need meals for all these different reasons. It changes the way that you view things. And it's important for everybody to have one of those moments, and not enough people have.
It sounds like what you use the word holistic, and that's a good word, I think, for what you're doing. It's not just like plug and play. I want to do this. Give me the list. I'll check this box, and this box. You're really like developing leaders whose skill sets will be transferable, not just to a pet cause here or there, but really to bring their whole community into their network, and then share their knowledge with others, and to keep the thing growing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know me fairly well. You know, I have a big network. And so, as people are coming to us, I have secondary options for them. There's organizations that I work with, and people and campaigns. We can get people into these other spaces, and where they can do even
Mm.
more. And so we're trying to kind of launch people into doing even more, while we're also trying to launch people into grassroots organizing within their community. Like, we want to just give you everything that we have and send you back with a plan, and then with follow up support. Like, we have to actually be willing to do the real hard work of not just throwing information at people, but helping them
Yeah.
understand how to use it. And it is not easy work. It's hard, but we have to be willing to do it if we're going to get anywhere. And I hear people in Indiana talking a lot about wanting to go somewhere, but you got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of people in Indiana talk about wanting to go somewhere in different ways. Some people are wanting to go anywhere but here, but others, and this is our audience. People we're talking to are the people who want to stay here and take Indiana somewhere better.
And we can. We really, really can. For anybody listening who wants to think of like our rural communities as a lost cause, they're not. They truly, truly are not. The people in our rural communities are so incredibly misunderstood. And a
Hmm.
lot of it is because they don't have the language themselves to communicate what it is that's going on. Like I said earlier, there is this mindset of, well, I've eaten shit my entire life and I'm okay because I've gotten by. I've worked hard. I've got my family. I've got,
Hmm.
whatever. This is good enough for me, but I need that woman, that single mom living in that urban space. I need her to be eating shit too. And I need that family to be, it's just kind of, they don't
Yeah,
want you to have
yeah.
the nice things that they don't have. And I mean, when we're talking human nature, that's completely understandable, right? It's hard.
Yeah, absolutely normal. Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to see people getting things that you think that you deserve or that you've earned. And there's a lot of blame and shame and that goes into it, and we can break that down. I have so much experience now talking to different people. The Damien Center is a really great example that I like to give people. When I was at Mad
yeah,
Voters, I did a lot of traveling, but a lot of the places that I went to, I was new there. So, as passionate as I was and as much information as I had, people weren't always willing to listen to me because I was a stranger. But
yeah.
the places that I was able to visit over and over again regularly, like the Damien Center, 6 months into it, I'm walking into the room and people are going, "Hey, Chelsea, talk to her over there. She's not gonna lie to you." I helped people register for the first time in their lives at 50 years old. I had people telling me that they voted for the first time in their lives because of me. They voted for the first time in years, and it was because I didn't lie to them. I was honest to them, and I didn't make it a right or left thing. I made it a right
Yeah.
and wrong thing.
Yep.
And people grew to respect me. They heard me being honest, not bullshitting, and when I didn't have an answer, I didn't pretend that I did. I said, "Hold on a second, I got my phone right here. Let's look this up together and come to a conclusion together about this." And it's that easy, but it's hard, right?
Right.
Like, it's easy to say it, but then when you're in the thick of it, you have to be able to stop and really think about what you're gonna say or do next based off of what that person is telling you. Because you have to be willing to meet them where they are and understand
Mhm.
why it is they think the way that they think. A lot of people have a lot of different reasons. You know, some of these people, they didn't have a single grown up that gave a crap about them.
Yeah.
You think that they're gonna think like you and I?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody's carrying their various traumas, on their back around with them all the time, and we have to keep that in mind. And that's one of the things you do is, you're out there teaching people how to talk to other people and bridge those gaps, right?
Yes, that's a really, really big thing because it's a really big problem in the progressive side of things, right? We see a lot of
Mhm.
elitism, especially in like progressive politics. And so we have a lot of these people who really do not know how to talk to people.
Yeah,
And a very important part of that is being able to read people. You need to be able to read body language and read tone and be able to adjust what you're saying to comfort the person that you're talking to or challenge them, right? But we have
sure.
this bad habit of kind of talking down to people or over people
Mhm.
in this space. And so learning how to communicate better is one of the most important things that we teach at Civic Impact Network when we get into that leadership development. We all have biases, right?
Yep.
We need to break those down completely and utterly if we're going to be effective communicators.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you hear it all the time over here, even on our side of things. Those bumpkins, those rural voters, they're dumb or ignorant, or they're voting against their own interests or what have you. When really, if you talk to folks on a one-on-one level, no matter what side of any given issue they're on, it generally all comes down to a criticism of wealth and power. And most people, except for the wealthy and powerful, can generally agree on those things.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I ask people just put yourself in their shoes. Have any of these people ever been to a rural Republican town hall? Because I'll tell you, that's wild. It is wild. They will lie right to these people's faces, and these people have no choice but to hear it, listen, and believe it. There isn't somebody else coming and talking to them, in a way that they understand. A
Right.
and, there's just so much that goes into that ignorance, and a lot of it is inaccessibility,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
both of us, both sides, the language isn't accessible to us because we live in our like little information bubbles, our own spheres, and um you can see it if you turn on NBC for an hour and you turn on Fox News for an hour. There, a lot of times they're talking about the same news story, but they use totally different frames to talk about the same thing, and those are people are absorbing that framing in communities throughout the state, rural, urban, whatever. Um, Again, it's generally all criticism of wealth and power, but the language is different. So we're saying the same things and we're just talking past each other.
Mhm. Yep, yep, but, we can all learn better, and right now in 2025, everybody has their place in the fight, right? Some
Hmm.
people are not going to be able to do what I do and meet certain people, where they are. And I
Right.
understand that might even be dangerous for some people. So understand that like not everybody's place is right there and that's okay. If you're angry and you can't stand to talk to somebody who isn't on your level already, that's cool, because getting mad at people for not understanding is not going to help.
Yeah.
So don't put yourself in a position to where you feel like you have to shake somebody and scream at them. That's not gonna it's not good for anybody. It might make you feel good for a second until they put handcuffs on you. Um, so, everybody just has to figure out kind of where their place is and like what they're willing to do and say. Are you willing to actually listen to people
Mm,
and try to find those places where you can relate, where you can find common ground? Are you willing to sit down at a table full of bikers and tell an abortion story? It's
yeah.
everybody's going to have kind of their own place of comfort, and that's okay. We're not all made to do the same things, but I am asking, especially people who look like me, which is white for anybody who can't see me. I am a straight white female. I ask you especially to step up and be a bit of a barrier, be more willing to take chances, be more open to speaking to people so that our friends who may be putting themselves in danger by doing so don't have to do that. We need people
Yeah.
who are willing to do that. And a lot of the people who were willing to do it back in 2024 are not in a safe place to do it in 2025. And we need to be understanding of that as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, maybe, maybe being a public face of, a movement is not in your comfort zone, but everybody's got their own skill set that they can bring to a movement. Maybe you're, the art person. Maybe you're, maybe you're more comfortable writing letters than you are talking to people face to face. Maybe you're good at the organizing part, but not the forward facing stuff. But there's a place for everybody, and that's something you can do too. I imagine is kind of match people's skills to where there is need.
Yes, yes. First, I tell people to always be open, because you never know. Like, you might just hear something. Maybe you never thought of writing a speech before, but somebody's talking about, I want to give a speech on this, and it's something you're passionate about. Be open to helping with that. Jump in. Um, but that's one of the things about the network, right? The network part of Civic Impact Network is that everybody has something to offer. And so we want everybody to understand that, to know that, to understand what their strengths are and also their weaknesses, so that we can help put you in positions to where you can strengthen some of those weaknesses without throwing you to the
Yeah.
sharks. You know,
Right. Yeah,
Everybody
so yeah,
has
before you go out there canvassing, we're gonna talk about how we not just talk to people, but how to listen to people, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That body language thing. I mean, growing up the way that I did, some people develop the ability to really read people because of danger, for example.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I am very, very good at. I can read people. I know when people are being authentic with me, and it's a blessing and a curse, honestly. Because, there's people that I want to respect, and I can tell
Yeah.
immediately that they don't respect me. And
Ah,
it's like, man, like we can't even work towards this because I can see through you. And
yeah.
so anybody can develop that, and it doesn't have to be through fear. I won't scare you. Um, Everybody develops it in different ways. There is a lot to learn, but anybody can do it. And being able to do that and just being able to pick up on those small little bits, like I can see you getting a little uncomfortable with what I'm talking about. So I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to kind of throw you some of the power and see what you want to talk about. It's just those little things, just being able to pick up on people's discomfort or maybe their excitement about something. And so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, they liked that. Let me launch into this a little bit.
Yeah, I see. So, what else? What else are you doing over there at Civic Impact Network? I mean, you're talking about training folks in communicating with others, and then we also talked about just the organizing and um, design. Yeah, I'm sure you've got like people in your network that are the art people, and they can show you how to do the art stuff or the commute, like the tech stuff. Maybe you don't know how to do that, and we're going to teach you how to do that. And and it's not just like, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this so you can do it one time. It's like, well, now you get to take that and you show it to somebody else.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, when people are done with their experience with our network, I want them to walk away not just with confidence in themselves, but confidence in us. I want them walking away knowing, okay, like, they got my back. And because we really, really do.
Yeah,
Um, we want to see everybody succeed. We wanna see people be a part of the solution, and to be a part of the solution, you have to do,
right.
quite simply.
So can you tell me about some of the projects you've been working on recently?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things in the world is collaboration. I loved doing it at Mad Voters, and I still do it here with a lot of the organizations. I am a heavy volunteer in general in my community, so I have a lot of those connections to help people get started. So some of the things we have been working with actually on Ball State, several of the groups on Ball State, the feminist organization, PSL. We have been working on things like maternal and infant outcome information with
Hmm.
access to birth control. We are working with Food Not Bombs currently to fix a little bit of our food waste issue. We have Second Harvest Food Bank here, which delivers a lot of food to the East Central Indiana region, our food pantries, our
Hmm.
soup kitchens. And then we have a couple other places similar that are delivering food, but a lot of this is fresh food, and sometimes it sits. And so we are working with Food Not Bombs to create a program to kind of first acknowledge where the food waste is, right? And then work towards fixing that. And they're going to bring in that food in, and there's a couple things that they want to do. They haven't gotten all the way. Eventually, Food Not Bombs is an organization that provides vegan and vegetarian meals to the community. So that is what they want to do eventually. Right now, we are working with them to provide some community meals because cooking meals for a community, packaging them, labeling them, it's pretty labor intensive.
A
And
lot of
there
work.
are
Yeah.
rules, regulations, permits, things that you have to have in order to do that. But these are young people with so much passion, and they want to start addressing this right now. So our team came in and we talked to them about, these are all the steps that you have to take to get to your end goal. This is what you can do to start there. And so, first we need to figure out where the food is going to waste. We need to pull from those resources. Then we need to find other places where there may be food waste and pull
Yeah.
those resources in. So, helping them identify step by step the best way to go about this is what we're doing. And so now we've got some extra food. They want to start feeding people immediately. So we have a space located right next to campus in what we call our village. And this is where a lot of college students are going to be in their dorms hungry. And then there are
Yeah.
a ton of rentals in the area where not just
Mm.
college students, but adults of all ages are renting because that's all they can afford. They have roommates. All of these people collectively are hungry. So we located this spot. It's the perfect spot. People from both of those spaces can come and get food, and that's where they're going to be doing a community meal. And so we're going to gather some of this food. We're going to put on a big potluck. People will come and they'll be able to take bags of the other food that wasn't cooked. And this is something that they're going to start doing at least once a month. And hopefully it will kind of go up from there to twice a month to three times a month.
Yeah.
And they're going to build on it. But, a lot of people come into this with all of these really, really big, wonderful ideas. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely beautiful ideas, but there's a lot that goes into it, not just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do this." And so we wanna be able to come in and first of all, be real with you. Hey, these are all the steps that you have to do. And unfortunately, it's a lot of government red tape that, I don't
yeah.
particularly agree with.
Yeah, I just
But
wanna feed these people. No one thinks about, like, "Oh, I need to go through permits, and, oh, I gotta get the health department involved," and yeah, so much stuff.
yeah, and we want people to have that information, and then we also always come in with other plans of action because we don't wanna come in and rain on people's parade and then go, "Well, damn, what are we even doing here?" Because I know how that feels, like, when you're really excited and passionate about something and somebody comes in and they're like, "Sorry, you can't do it," or, "Man, you're gonna fail," or, "This first time is gonna be real rough." Like, we want to encourage people to still do it. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna say, "Okay, well, these are the steps that need to be taken to get there. How realistic is it for you right now to be able to get there? Let's have an honest conversation about it. Hey, maybe this person has a lot of funding behind them and we can get them going immediately. We don't know." So,
Mhm.
based off of that, we can kind of go from there. And with this scenario in particular, we were able to say, okay, but we can still feed people. There is a workaround. We just can't make the food and package it and give it out at a park, but we can have a potluck. There is no
Yeah.
law stating that we can't have a potluck and invite all of our friends.
It's good to see this, that you're, building these networks, like, on a college campus, especially because I'm here in Bloomington, right? I got IU right around the corner, and, we're talking about, boy, it's, time for leaders to show up and people to get in the streets and protest and do things, and a lot of times college campuses have been the the site of a lot of that action, and I don't know if it's because the preemptive scare tactics taken by the Trump administration and the pressure they put on some of these universities, but I'm not seeing it right now, and I think it's going to be imperative, really, for the young college age people to be a major part of this fight.
Uh, Incredibly, and they're ready. They are. They just need guidance from those of us who kind of just know the deal. You know what I mean? And there there are so many times that I've been in rooms with young people, college students especially, because here in Muncie,
Mhm.
we've got Ball State University, and we've got a lot of college kids who are trying to get more involved. And we would be in these rooms and, they'd finally get a chance to speak. And what they said, I'm just smiling, I'm just, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the person will be like, okay, thank you. And then that's it. And it's like, these kids are showing up, getting this out, being passionate about what they believe in. And you're saying, thanks for coming. That is not how we
Yeah.
win in the resistance. It can't.
Yeah, it's a brick wall. You should be offering a door to, like, the next step.
Yep. And me, I beeline straight to the kid who just spoke. And I'm like, hey, this is who I am. I want to hear you out. Email me, call me, let's talk. Because I want to hear exactly what they have to say. I can help direct them in the right direction. There are a lot of groups right now, for example, who are working towards peace in Palestine. A lot of
Mhm.
young people, that is something they're passionate about, but they need to know about these opportunities. They need to know about these groups. So,
Yeah.
and we as people, like, you don't have to do what I'm doing to do the right thing by these kids. And I need to stop calling them kids because really, I know that they're kids to some people, but to me, they're just amazing. You hear somebody talking about something and about an opportunity having to do with that. Don't sit on that. Eh, be
Right?
brave.
Yeah.
Walk right over. I talk to strangers every single day of my life, every opportunity I get. I'm listening everywhere I go. And as soon as I hear an in, I'm like, hey, I know about this and I can help you do this. Or, hey, here's some information about this. We need to be
Yeah.
connecting the dots for people every single day. We are in this together or not at all.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, there may be somebody who's already working in that space, or, "Oh, man, I talked to had somebody that had a similar idea, let me put you in touch with them, maybe we could find some sort of synergy." Like the way you were talking about 2 different, organizations, looking to do something about food waste, and
Mhm.
and again, ability to find some synergy and get these people working with these people. So everybody's not in their own silo.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, when we put that out there, "Hey, we're working on this mutual aid project to eliminate food waste in the area," we had a lot of people reach out to us. "Hey, I did this project for my high school and I'd like to
Mhm.
share it." We had 2 sisters come and say, "Hey, we have been working on a nonprofit to, work on food waste and get some of that food into the rural spaces." So boom, it's like between all of the different organizations in this area that are working towards eliminating food waste, everybody can have their own part in that. We don't all have to be doing the same thing. You guys are really good at marketing, so you work on the marketing. You guys are the ones that have all the connections to the farmers. Okay, you work on your relationship to the farmers. These guys, they've got a trailer and a truck. They'll go pick the produce up. You know,
Mhm.
you've got
Mhm.
organizations that are like, "Okay, we need a grant to get all of this trailer and this truck and all this stuff, and we can't do anything until we get it." Okay, well, but John has a truck and a trailer, and he wants to get that food to people just as much as you do. So why in the hell are we gonna sit on our butts waiting for a grant that may or may not come when there are people who are hungry, right?
Yeah. I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing, because we mentioned it, I think, back up toward the top. There's just so much coming at us right now, from all directions, a mile a minute, and everybody, I think, has their own way they're affected by these things, or their own pet project, or the way they want to, and it's almost like I see a different march every day, which is great. That is awesome. There's the energy for that. Um, but what you're doing is, like, all these groups need to be working together so we can put together something really big. Like, 1,000 people at the state house is great every day of the week. 100,000 people at the state house on one day is going to get some attention.
Yeah, yeah, and the organizing, it's just
Yeah.
right now that it's everything. If we don't organize properly, we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over again, like we have for, I mean, the last 30 years. It's just been this cycle of abuse where we just do the same crap and nothing gets
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, and so, so many people, they want to do something, but it's like we have to reinvent the wheel every time. And your organization is saying, "No, we've got the wheel. It is transferable to all sorts of different applications. Let us help you with this part, and let us connect you with other people who are doing something similar so we can, pool our efforts, pool our resources."
Yeah, and right now in 2025, now is the time to get creative. We need it more
Mhm.
now than ever. I brought up the soup
Yeah.
kitchen.
Those grants
So
you were talking about aren't coming, right?
right,
We gotta
yeah,
do
yeah,
something different.
we count on FEMA grants to supply some of the food that we use to feed our
Mhm.
community, and, that's not coming, and then not only that, people who tend to be donors, they are holding their money much closer now. They are not as willing to make these donations because they have no idea what's about to happen, right? And then you've
Yeah.
got these other funding organizations who are gonna be very mindful. For example, IU Health, they upped their fund, their CII fund to $200 million this year, but they are explicitly focusing on maternal and infant outcomes in the state of Indiana, because I think, like a lot of us know, that right there, those maternal and infant outcomes are one of the number one ways to tell the health of a state, right?
Yeah,
And we are incredibly unhealthy here. So it's we can't get those funds for anything else other than that. So being able
right.
to organize in a way that is much more creative is actually imperative for us to be able to continue with the programs that we have that are feeding and housing and taking care of people. Like, I'm calling major whole kitchen wholesalers asking if they'd be willing to donate in kind to get us new kitchen equipment. You know, asking people for very specific things, like, instead of asking for money for this, hey, this is something that we really need. Can you donate this thing to us? I'm contacting farmers. Will you donate a pig to us? We have to get creative, and we have to do this together, and we have to come together and use each other's skills and abilities as much as we can if we're going to make it out of this. And, that might sound scary to you, but I'm telling you, be a part of a team.
Yeah.
It feels good. It feels good to be a part of a team and to know that you are working towards better, not just for yourself, but for other people. It's easy to be scared at home and be paralyzed by all of it. But when you step out of that and you take action, I promise you'll start to feel something else, and it will be a good thing.
Take it from a couple of us olds who grew up in the '80s, right? We watched Voltron. We saw what happens when a bunch of people come together and make one big thing. Right? Much more
Yeah.
powerful that way, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and that's exactly what it is. They're afraid of us. We the people, they are incredibly afraid of us organizing. And that is why over the last 30 years, there has been so much effort to separate us and divide us and destroy the communities that we have, and boost our reliance on purchasing products to make
Yeah,
ourselves feel
yeah,
better. I mean, when you really break it down, it has been a very intentional pull. And we have to rebuild our communities any way possible. If that means you have a knitting club, girl, go get it. Knit your
yeah.
heart out. We have to create these communities. And as we're creating these little bubbles, we can start having bigger conversations. Start with the easy
Yeah.
stuff and start throwing some of that hard shit in there. You know what I mean? Maybe your knitting club wasn't expecting to talk about abortion today, but y'all have been doing it for 6 weeks and it's time. you know?
Right. So, my God, Chelsea, where has time gone? What haven't we covered today about Civic Impact Network that you want to make sure we know?
Ugh. You know, the thing that I really want people to know, more than anything, is that we are 100% here with you. Whatever we have to offer is yours. We can't save everybody and we can't get involved in every single project, but if you need to know a graphic designer, if you need to a speaker for an event, these are things that we can help you with. Because it's not just the big stuff, it's all the tiny little stuff. It all adds up.
It really does.
And we need people to understand that they have value. They hold purpose. Everybody. There have been times that my biggest purpose in the moment was just putting on somebody's shirt to show support.
Mhm.
That was enough in that moment because it was what was needed. And that's okay. You know, I want people to understand that we all have different roles to play, and that's why you should be a part of our network, because
There's
that's
a
what it's all
yeah,
about.
there's a place for everybody in the resistance.
Yes. 100%.
I meant to ask, are you, just in East Central Indiana, the Muncie area right now?
That is where I am spending most of my time. I am, um, coming to Indy. occasionally for things, testimony, support for other organizations and things like that. So I am trying to get outside of East Central Indiana, at least to let people know what we're doing, because I think that this
Yeah.
is something that can literally be adopted absolutely anywhere. And for anybody who is wanting to just get in there and start doing, this is the perfect thing for you. Start pulling resources from your community and making sure that you're sharing it with people who may have missed out on it. I mean, it's really, really simple. You just start there.
Yeah. And it's a network. There are nodes that they will reach into various places from which we can seed new movements and keep this thing growing. And it's scalable, right? Community is scalable.
Yeah, 100%. We have the power, like I said, and all we have to do is decide to do it.
Where can folks find out more about you and Civic Impact Network and what you do?
Well, we have our website, which is civicimpactnetwork.org. We try to keep that pretty updated, not just with community events, but also blog posts. And we're very active on Facebook just because Facebook is a much more localized social media
Mhm.
platform. We're
Mhm.
able to really market what we're trying to do towards the people in East Central Indiana. Our email list, though, is, I mean, people from all over Indiana, which is absolutely wonderful because we can call on so many different people who have so much to offer. But you can also find us on TikTok and Blue Sky and Instagram. You can find us on all this. We are not on X. We will not be on X.
Yeah, I do not blame you. I am still operating behind enemy lines over there, but I absolutely understand not wanting to be there, and I will link to all those in the show notes so people can find you. And I just want to thank you for being here with me tonight, Chelsea. Really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate you always wanting to talk to me because I talk a lot.
Anytime you are welcome here to talk my ear off. Anytime you want.
I
Chelsea
appreciate
McDonnell,
it.
thanks for joining the Who's Left podcast.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Chelsea McDonnell, Executive Director at Civic Impact Network. There is an energy building in the people of Indiana and America. I see it growing every day, readying to ignite. But building a productive fire requires more than just a spark. After the great financial crash of 2008, billionaires like the Koch brothers harnessed the spark of legitimate popular discontent and turned it into a conflagration known as the Tea Party movement. Mountains of cash fueling astroturfed front groups and right wing media outlets, giving the thing oxygen. The embers of which continue to burn until reigniting as MAGA. Well, the thing about our site is that we don't have unlimited fuel or a constant stream of hot air, so the fires we build are harder to start and require careful maintenance to keep burning. Knowing when to add a log, rake the coals, or deploy the billows. In the religious practices of many cultures, there exists the ceremonial role of flame tender, firekeeper, who maintains the sacred fire. Chelsea serves that role in her community, keeping the sacred fire of struggle against injustice burning by teaching others how to spark infernos of their own. Who are the flame tenders in your community? Let us know. They deserve a spotlight. Are you having trouble finding yours? Reach out. Maybe we can connect you. And maybe it's you, and you just don't know it yet. Links to Civic Impact Network on all the platforms are included in the show notes. And me, I'm on Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Who's Left, and on most other social media sites at ScottRaj78. You can also email me at scott@whosleft.us. Thank you for listening. Thanks again to Chelsea McDonnell and Civic Impact Network for all they do. You can help contribute to their mission at donorbox.org. Again, links in the show notes. If you got some spare change after doing that, how about contributing to Who's Left's mission with a paid subscription over at whosleft.us, where you can find my entire archive. Hit me up on social media with your feedback, tips, ideas, and concerns. Please forward the show to a friend and have them forward it to another friend. Let's keep building this project and a truly democratic state, one conversation at a time. Until the next one, this has been the Who's Left podcast. I'm Scott Aaron Rogers. Love each other, Indiana.